Today I want to talk to you about the most common question I get asked as a photographer. Whether it's through social media or while I'm out taking photos, people will always ask what camera I recommend for someone who's starting out. Now that question has always been very hard for me to answer because over my time I've used so many different camera bodies, and the more camera bodies and different lenses I've used, the more I've realized that it doesn't matter what you're using, but it's about asking yourself why you want to get into photography in the first place. Now, for me, I started taking photos because of travel. I bought an Olympus EM5 Mark II with a kit lens that I took with me through Europe for a 6-week trip. When I came back, I actually sold that camera to buy the camera that is recording this right now, which is a Canon 60 Mark II, because I wanted to get into landscape photography. Now, fast forward a bit after that, I wanted to try and get into film photography, so I bought a film SLR. I wanted to get into, quite common now is film point and shoot, so I bought a point and shoot camera. At some point I bought an underwater Fujifilm camera that I could use while out with friends at the beach and when we go to the pool. And a recent one, I've bought a Fujifilm X100V that I use for everything. And I also have my work camera, which is a Canon EOS R mirrorless camera. Now, the reason I have these here, and I think the importance of this is when you start out, you look towards what gear to buy, how you can take this, how you can get this effect on photos. But for me, it's about going a step further back before you go into that and asking yourself why you want to take photos in the first place. Now, for me, that was easy because that happened naturally. I started to take photos when I was traveling. Then I came back and I started to explore local areas around where I lived. And I remember one morning, it was the 31st of May, 2017. I was out taking photos at sunrise at the Crawley Boatshed, which is a famous blue boatshed here in Perth. Now, there was nothing special about that photo, but there was a feeling I got when I took it that I've never been able to explain or never been able to understand. And that feeling was just how special that moment was. So for me, that's my why, and that's what I go for. Now, what I try and translate with my photos is I want to say more with my photos because that's the feeling I get when I take them. So I want to do exhibitions, I want to sell prints, I want to tell stories through photo books. I want to do more with photos. That is the reason why I take them. Because for me, it's the most powerful way I know to give something back to people. It's the most powerful way I know for myself that makes me be present and makes me be in the moment, and it makes me be nowhere else because all I'm thinking about is what I'm seeing and what I'm trying to capture and what I'm trying to show. And the reason I have these cameras here is because every single one of these cameras I have actually taken photos on and sold prints on. And the reason I have them here is because it's to prove to the point it doesn't matter if it's $200 little underwater camera or a professional camera that I've used for commercial work, because what you're using doesn't matter half as nearly as much as why. And evidence is in that throughout many years. If you think back to when you went through your parents' photo albums, those photos were taken on disposable cameras and small old school film cameras. But those photos carry so much weight now, not because of what they were taken on, but because of what they say. It's memories of people who have passed on. It's memories of terrible outfits and you as children and your parents when they were your age. That is the point of what a photo is. It's to say something more than to just be something that's to look back on and it's a pretty picture. It's about having that next step that makes it special. That's what photography does. That is why that question of what should I use doesn't matter. And it's often very hard to translate across to people when they ask me, what should I use? Because the answer is it doesn't matter. If you want to start taking photos on an iPhone, and that's a reason that you start taking more photos and hopefully get them printed and have them as memories of you and your friends of the nights out you spent. But you have a genuine interest in photography and want to get into film photography, or you want to get into street photography or landscape photography, then the only way to do that is to get out and do them. So you have a natural progression that if you start just by going out and shooting, the gear will come. It's why it's a very hard question to answer of what gear should I buy, because it doesn't matter what you use, but completely matters why you use it. If you understand why you're going out in the first place and you know what you're going out for, then it doesn't matter what you're going out with. What matters is that you're going out to take photos And that's the most important bit, because it doesn't matter if you have the best gear in the world or the worst gear in the world. If photography gives you something, and stopping and taking that photo and seeing that moment and capturing it gives you something or gives the viewer something, then it's worth it. And it's enough reason to start regardless of gear. It doesn't matter if you have the best lens and you have the best camera. If you have no emotional attachment to what you're taking photos of, how can the person who sees that photo have any emotional attachment of what they see? If you can understand the why of what you want to take photos of, or why you want to take photos in the first place, that is the only starting point you need to go and buy a camera. It has nothing to do with what camera should I buy, but more, do I know what I want to take photos of, or why I want to take them in the first place? Because if you simply want to take memories for you and your friends, and you go every single weekend and you buy a disposable camera and you get them developed and then you get them printed, then that's excellent, because that's you creating memories that you will have in 20 years' time with you and your friends. And that is enough of a reason to continue to do that. If you want to invest and become a landscape photographer, and you want to invest in tripods and the best cameras and the best lenses, then that's also okay. But you need to know what you want to do with that. If you want to sell prints, then that's excellent. If you want to do commercial photography, then you're going to have to invest in different lenses and different camera bodies. But that also comes with knowledge and time and practice. But the backing behind that is still the why. There's no point in doing all of that practice and all of that effort and buying all that gear if the why behind it is not clear to you. Because if you can turn around and tell me why you love taking photos or why you want to take more photos, then that is all that matters. It doesn't matter on what gear you use. It doesn't matter on what you've shot it on. It doesn't matter when you shot it. What matters is what someone gets when they see it and what you get when you take it. And if you can focus on that initially, I can almost promise you that you will get stuff that you will love. And that is the starting block for anyone who is going to do well in this medium. And it doesn't have to be professionally, it could just be personally. But if you want to look back and have a load of memories that make you smile, then you need to capture moments in which you are smiling. And it is a simple translation of know why you're going out, know what you're taking photos of and why you're taking photos. And that's all you need. What you're using at that time doesn't matter. But in time, you can change that, but as long as you hold on to the why. And that's the biggest one. So next time when someone asks you, or someone comes up and asks me, what camera do you recommend? Ask them why they want to take photos in the first place. Because if they can answer that, then it doesn't matter what they use. But if they can't answer that, then they need to understand that before they go and invest in anything related to photography. Thank you.